Hi, Coach. How are you?
Mike Vrabel, my man from Ohio State, who's come a long way.
Yeah, probably.
You know, and
Since 1997.
97 drafted you, yeah, and you came
On the
in.
north side of Pittsburgh.
And we had a good year that year.
Yeah, we did.
We did. We lost to the Denver Broncos.
AFC Championship.
Yeah.
In Three Rivers.
Yes. Matter of fact, after those 4 years, and we're going to jump around here. I'm just going to talk to you because, you know, you were such a part of us having a pretty special defense. And I remember after those 4 years, you came in, and I remember the conversation we had. I knew you were going to be a free agent. And I said to you,
you said, I can pay you what these other teams are going to pay you, but I can't give you the same opportunity. And I said, that's all I need to know. That was your way of saying, you probably should take another look. I think you owe it to yourself to take another look somewhere else.
And did you appreciate that at the time?
No, I mean, I think that's, you learn a lot from that, just from the honesty, the transparency, being direct, with players is something that they appreciate. And don't BS them. They don't want to be BS. We don't have a whole lot of time to waste. And so I just try to be as transparent as possible. And, I think that's something that I learned obviously from you and from my time here in New England, and, try to take a little something with me everywhere I went.
Let's go back even a year from now, a year ago.
Yep.
Coming off that year off, when you went up with Kevin Stefanski, Jim Schwartz, being on that sideline,
Yep.
What was that period of reflection like for you?
Well, it made me realize that there's nothing that I want to do more than be a head coach again, and that I probably maybe didn't appreciate it as much, at some point in time. And then being around the guys, the other thing I realized is how critical the connection is with the players, and not losing sight of that. That means something. And so in that role that I was in, I didn't have to deal with a lot of these things. I could meet with players on Monday and Tuesday, and I was around. I was down. I had a little office down on the meetings and near their locker room. So made great connections with a lot of those players there, and I realized how important it is. I knew how important it was. I just, you have to make sure that you're making the time.
It's interesting because I see you now, and you're right. I see you on the sideline. You're headbutting with Milt.
I wasn't expecting it. I didn't want a headbutt. Trust me, I'm done with that.
But it's more of a fatherly approach to it than I've seen you in the past. And you just talked about the fact of being away from it for a year, and you came up here, and you're talking about coming into a historic place that you were a part of. Mm-hmm. 17 titles in 19 years, 6 Super Bowls. So coming back up here and having that opportunity to do it again, you brought in a bunch of free agents. What was
we did.
thinking?
I think we had to be intentional, and working with Elliott and Ryan and Stretch and personnel staff and the coaching staff is just trying to get the right guys in here at the right time. And we knew that we needed, to jumpstart this thing, and we got a lot of guys that have helped us. And then we try to draft players that were talented and we felt like would fit what we want to do as a culture and an identity.
And in the course of doing that, I go back to the same thing. It's like, I see how you've treated each one differently. And I think you talked about that fact that maybe that was something that year off, that the personal relationships, Ramondre Stevenson early in the season, going through the fumbling, but you stuck with him. And you know how important that was for you to be there.
Yeah, I mean, those are mistakes. Those aren't conscious decisions. I mean, those were mistakes, and you can fix mistakes and you can coach things. And Ramondre, I always said, watching back from the film before I got here, there was nobody that protected the quarterback or his teammates more than Ramondre. Yeah. And so, it's easy to target the guy that fumbled, but there's also a lot of instances early on where guys weren't protecting the guy with the ball. And so I think it's my job to make sure that when it comes to each and every case, you try to treat guys the way they treat the team. And I felt like that was something where we were going to need Ramondre. We were going to need his skill set. We're going to need his protection. We're going to need his ball production and everything else. So a lot of examples. Again, I just try to, do what I feel like is right at the time.
The 4 H's that you did at the beginning of the season. Again, another one of those things, we're getting to know each other. We're talking about, what is it? It's history.
Yep, your heroes, your heartbreaks, and your hopes. The hopes for your personal success or the team success.
And you were the first one to get up.
Yep. You know, I mean, it's important. I think they have to be able to understand me and the things that I've gone through in my life. And I always talk about everybody has a different journey to this National Football League. Some guys are drafted high. Some guys, I mean, I tell them I didn't start a game for 4 years in Pittsburgh, and I didn't. But and every year I had to try to earn a role and find a role that was going to keep me on the football team. And then was able to come here, and that kind of changed. And then, you know, the next 10 years. But, you know, the different backgrounds and just different experiences that we've all shared. You know, I really appreciate the guys treating it with so much care and respect for each other. That's the thing I'll most appreciate.
You know, I see you at the end of the game standing outside the locker room. I remember doing that in Pittsburgh with you. And it was funny. There was a moment last week. I saw you and Will Campbell was coming off. His head's down. I know he had a tough afternoon. Sure. You go, hey, man, put a smile on your face.
Well, it's the National Football League. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Sometimes the bear gets you.
Right.
And it's not, like we talked about, it's not a fight. A fight's not a fight until there's resistance. And so, you know, these things happen. Right. And there's adversity that you have to overcome, whether that's an individual adversity, the team. You know, it's a long season, and these games are long. And so you can't let mistakes spiral and build up on you.
You know, you sit here and you came back to a place that you played at, trying to restore that run again. And you now have a young quarterback, as you being a defensive-minded guy. Do you reflect back on watching Bill and Tom and their relationship? Does that come?
I mean, I was just such a different role. You know what I mean? I just was such a different role. I would go, you know what I mean? I was on the defense. We were doing all the chirping and, you know, talking.
But you and Drake, are you and Drake going down that same path?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I know that we're different people. And I'm sure that those conversations may or may not be the same. I'm not sure. I wasn't privy to Bill and Tom's conversation.
Right.
But I know that I wanted to be here because of Drake. I wanted to be here, you know, having known Robert and Jonathan and that comfort level. And that was a big reason why I wanted to be here.
And so I had that with Ben, right? You know, I defensive guy and offensive quarterback, and there is something kind of special about that, and I go.
I can't tell him where to throw the ball. You know what I mean? I just tell him throw the ball to the guy that's open.
Yeah.
You know, but it's the mentality that I'm trying to instill in him, the leadership, trying to take ownership of the offense. He's the conductor, and sometimes I forget how young he is. You know what I mean? I forget that he's 23 years old, or you know, I mean, maybe turned 24. I don't know. He's younger than both my kids. I know that. So. But I've enjoyed watching these guys have fun. I really have. I've asked them to enjoy it, and I think they have.
And Josh has done a great job.
Oh, phenomenal! Phenomenal. And there are a bunch of guys on the staff that have helped Josh. You know, that Josh hasn't worked with, and I know sometimes offensive coordinators get funny about those types of things. And there's been a lot of collaboration. You know, I mean, Josh has what he likes, but then there's, you know, everybody's got some ideas and some input, and really helps us put together a good plan each and every week that supports Josh and, you know, gives him the best chance to go out there and call a game.
Yeah, and so the message this week, as you come back and as you sit there on Saturday night, what would be the last thing you want them to think about before that
Well,
game
it really has been really consistent. You know, I want them to embrace the preparation. I want them to enjoy the execution, enjoy the moment. And that we've built an identity, and we have to protect it, but we also have to have a belief that no matter what happens, we're going to find a way, which is what we've done when we've gone on the road and in these past couple games.
You know, I was at practice today, walking around, and it's funny, a lot of the guys said, hey, I said, you know, I coached Mike. So what was he like? What was he like? And I'm just going to say this to you, and as I said to him, he's where he should be. When I coaching you, you had that DNA. You had the coaching DNA because you love the game.
Sure.
You have a competitive spirit about you. But you also have a unique way of bringing people together. You have a way of bringing out the very best of people. This place is going to go back to a special place. It's a place that's been there before because you're a special leader. And I just want to say that to you as we close this thing, that it was a pleasure to know you. It's a pleasure to watch you grow as a football coach. And to have this second chance and to see that development that you've gone through, and you get this second chance, and how you've embraced the fatherly figure, the mentor that you're going to be to this team, pushing them when you have to push them.
Yeah.
But also patting them on the back.
Well, I appreciate that. That means a lot. And, again, having my start in Pittsburgh, I always say, like, I was really, really lucky to be in that culture, to be drafted in that culture with your leadership, the veterans that you had, the way that they helped the young players. Those are things I always share with everybody. And I'm glad you didn't tell too many stories about me to those guys, because I'm sure they were asking.
They asked. I said, let me just say this. The one thing about Mike, I says, when we would walk through something, he would ask questions that no one else would think about. Like, what happens if they
you're
motion?
like, yeah.
I'm going like, well, I don't know. Like what?
They haven't
That's a
done it.
hypothetical. He always brought out the worst hypotheticals there were, and we'd have to like the worst case scenario. But he would bring it up and thinking, okay. So I just knew when I put something in. I remember we had Marvin Lewis. I said, listen, I'm going to coach. Let me coach, because I said Vrabel's going to be fucking asking questions that I know that you guys can't answer. Let me coach them.
I know. I probably asked too many questions.
No, you didn't.
Early on.
That's why I knew you were going to be a good coach, because you were covering and turning over every stone.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, there's a lot more sleepless nights as a coach than there was as a player. You just go out there and go.
Well, I can tell you, I appreciated you and watched you, and so proud of you.
Well, thank you.
And happy for you, because I think what you are doing also for not just this organization, but to the young men that you're coaching, is you're going to be better people.
Yeah, I want them to enjoy coming to work.
Yeah.
And it's not that we're easy on them. We hold them accountable. We coach them. We teach, and but we got to enjoy this thing. We got it. I like when they make fun of me, because it means they're paying attention to me. When they make fun of you, that means they like you.
It's good. Good luck, Sarah.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, man.